welcome. I am so excited today. I am chatting all about self-doubt and how to shift and flip the script if you have a negative mindset and a lot of negative self-talk. So last week I posted a poll on Instagram and Facebook asking what would be most beneficial for you, and self-doubt was actually one of the biggest rankings and most votes. So here we are, and this is a really big video. This is something I struggled with a lot over the years, and so yeah, I'm really excited to share the things that have helped me to overcome that. So let's dive in. Awesome. Okay, so before we dive in, as you're hopping on, say hi. Let me know in the comments that you're here watching this. Give a thumbs up if you haven't already. Subscribe and turn on the notifications so you do not miss any future videos. And with that said, let's get started with the actual focus of today's video, which is self-doubt. So it's such a big topic because obviously we all struggle with this in different areas, but I want you to realize that it is possible to shift, and the word I'm going to use probably over and over again is reprogram. Okay, and the reason I say this all the time is because our minds are really just like a computer. They're just a computer software that has been programmed in from birth, and our subconscious tends to rule our life. And so the things that you experienced growing up, or that you saw, or even if you had an over anxious parent, that to you seemed normal, and so you probably kind of became programmed to have that as well, right? The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So we learned these things from certain places, but we have the power to shift and break out of them so that they no longer are our loop or our story. So one of the biggest things that helped me, and this takes us back to when I was studying like mindfulness and meditation in India, and it was when I first started to become aware that I am actually the observer. So when we have these moments of doubt or negativity, or beating ourselves up about things, feeling like we're not good enough, and that negative programming is playing out, it feels so real. It feels like that's who we are, and it feels like that's our identity. And the biggest thing I hope you can take away from this video is that you are the being behind those thoughts. So you are the observer, right? We talk about this a lot in mindfulness community, is like being the observer of your thoughts. And that level of detachment, that level of separation helps you to realize that you don't actually have to give your thoughts as much power, because you are not your thoughts. So for example, if I think about like how much doubt I had before starting my paper company business, my first business that I started after working with elephants in Sri Lanka, like I had no freaking clue what I was doing in business. I had no concept of like how challenging it would be or any of the things. I just was super determined and had this vision, this mission. I was like, I'm gonna make it happen. But amidst that like deep passion and drive, there were so many doubts playing out in my mind, constantly telling this story of not being good enough, not being ready yet, doubting my ability to convince or like prove my worth to people, right? Doubting my ability of like, or doubting the fact that they're gonna actually like and want what I have to share. And the same thing actually for me personally is a common thread in terms of my need to prove, like my need to prove myself. And I think that need to prove comes from an underlying self-doubt, an underlying unworthiness. And again, I know I'm not alone in this. I think we can all relate to this in different areas of our life. So same thing when I played university volleyball, I would have so many thoughts going through my head, constantly focusing on the negative, constantly feeling like I wasn't good enough, feeling like I had to, once again, prove myself in order to be worthy. And no matter what I did, the story was still the same. It was still like, you're not good enough, look at all these areas that you failed in, comparing myself to other people, or even being like, oh, the coach complimented this person and didn't say anything to you, so you must be just like a horrible human being. Like the stories, the doubts, the insecurities were rampant. And so when it comes to the observer effect, I wish I had learned this growing up. I wish we all knew this like in childhood and in the education system. Hopefully it starts to get a lot better in terms of what they actually teach us, because if we were taught that we are not our thoughts, the world would be so much better and every single person's mental health would be so much better. So understanding that when a thought plays out, when that doubt comes in, for example, and my doubt comes in and says, I'm not good enough, or I'm not going to be able to do this, or they're not going to like me, or it's probably going to fail anyway, so why even try? If I can practice mindfulness, if I can practice step number 1 of awareness that I talk about all the time, and be aware that this is a thought, this is a part of the programming, it's not who I am. The fact that I am aware of this thought shows that I'm not the thought itself, right? You can't be aware of it if you are it. I don't know if that makes sense. But like if you're able to catch the thought and see, like I'm very visual, so I like to see it as like a cloud, or I like to see it literally like a movie screen and this script playing out, and it's like, I'm not good enough, blah, blah, blah. Well, if I can see that that's right here, then that means I'm actually not the thought, right? I'm observing and looking at the thought, which means that then I have the power to question it, I have the power to reprogram it, to shift it into something that actually supports me. That's where your power lies, is detaching from the meaning you're giving your thoughts, detaching from the power that you're giving them to have over you. And the second you start to do this, everything in your life will change, because you'll start to realize, oh wow, okay, that's just a really shitty story. That is a really shitty story I'm telling myself. Why am I telling myself that? And then you can start to look at it and you go, oh, like for me, well, I'm telling myself those stories because, you know, I never felt good enough in these experiences. And I remember a coach, you know, making negative comments to me, and so then I took it super literally, took it to heart and felt like it was the truth of my being, right? I identified with that. And so now I continue to tell that story. I continue to fuel that self-doubt or that negative self-talk. There's always a place that we can trace it back to, but we have to detach first and realize that it's not who we are in order to trace it back. So this is actually the best way for someone who, if you're like me, like I am sure people would be shocked, because I know I come across like so calm and grounded, and I think I always did, but if people could see in my mind like years ago, it would be shocking, because like the level of intense anxiety that I had and overthinking and like a million miles a minute on negative stories, negative beliefs, it's like shocking. It's really, really different from where I am now. And so I wish I could like really just open up my mind and show you that, so that if you're in that place, you know that it's possible to break out of it. Because I think when we're in that over anxious, overthinking place, or when we do struggle with tons of self-doubt and negativity, we don't believe it's possible to shift. And that's why if you want more support with this, I have an incredible free mindset training where I break down the exact process. I go way more into depth about how your mind is like a computer and how to actually reprogram it. So you can check that out down below. That will help so much. But I really just want you to know that there is so much hope. But these are the steps, and it's so simple. It's so simple, because the second you start to practice the awareness and you detach, then the second you can actually use your overthinking for good. And so what I started to do back when I first began this whole mindfulness journey was, instead of my over anxious mind going into all the doubts, all the fears, all the negativity, and like literally being stuck there all day and all night because I couldn't fall asleep because I was so anxious. I started to use that as a superpower. I was like, how can I use my overthinking for good? Because right now it's really hard for me to stop the overthinking. So if I can't stop it, how can I at least, shift it into something that's more positive and actually supporting me in my journey? And so that looked like every time my thoughts started to spiral, it was like, okay, instead of going into all the negative things, all the negative possibilities, all the criticism, judgment, self-hate, anxiety, fear, all of that stuff, how could I take the other path? And how could I curve that into something more positive? How could I shift that into, okay, I see you, I see this fear, I see this doubt, and I wonder what it would feel like if this actually happened instead. That's actually one of my favorite things from one of my first mentors was, she said, like, not only is it amazing for manifestation, but even just for like your everyday life and shifting your vibration and your focus and your state of being, is to go, I wonder what it would be like if. Because now you're not locked in on the negative reality, you're opening yourself up to other possibilities. You're like, I wonder what it would feel like if I did believe that I was good enough at this, if I did believe that it could work out. For instance, with my business, I was like knocking on doors and reaching out to all these people, all these businesses in my city, all these universities, all these different places to try and get the paper products in there. Because I was like, this paper is amazing. We're donating back to the elephants. This is like an amazing initiative for the planet, for the earth, like the environment. Who wouldn't want it, right? It's a good price, everything. Who wouldn't want to be a part of this? And so I was knocking on all these doors, but every single one that I went to, I had underlying doubts of like, it's not gonna work. They're not gonna believe in it. They're gonna say no. They're gonna like think that I'm just some hippie, some hippie in her elephant pants, like walking around here. They're gonna think that I don't know what I'm doing, so I need to prove myself more, right? All of these doubts that I projected all the time. Whereas I wish in hindsight that I could have gone in there being like, I wonder what it would be like if they said yes. And like, I wonder what it would be like if this reality was possible, or this reality was possible. Or I wonder what it would feel like to have them direct me in like the perfect direction that I've been looking for. I wonder what it would feel like if I didn't put pressure on myself to make this work, and I just continued to do it because I love doing it, because then it would actually be worth it the whole time, right? My focus wouldn't be on the negative. So shifting into, I wonder what it would be like, also really can help reframe that negative self-doubt into a positive. So I feel like I've gone all over the place in this video. I truly hope that those things will be a great, I truly hope, is that what I said? I hope that those will be a great help for you in starting this journey. And again, no matter where your current state of being is, no matter where your mind is at the moment, just know it's possible to shift this. Yes, it takes practice, but if it's possible and you can see yourself and you want to get to that place, you'll get there so much sooner. So just keep practicing that awareness. Detach, separate, realize that you are the being behind the thought, you are the observer, and then focus, reframe, shift into the positives, into the other possibilities, and bonus points if you want to uncover the root cause and you want to kind of do what I did, which was using that overthinking as a superpower to go, well, where did this actually come from, and why do I believe these things, and what experiences have all piled up to make this feel like such a strong reality or such a strong part of my identity? And is that actually the truth of who I am, or am I so much more than that, right? Asking so many questions. I asked myself so many questions for years to help shift into a more positive place. So I hope this will be of service. If it was helpful, please again hit the thumbs up subscribe. Please feel free to share with friends, family, anyone who you think can benefit, and I will see you on the next video. Sending so much love, and here is to your freedom from your self-doubt, to your empowerment and your beautiful, beautiful, kind, loving thoughts that are on the way to you now. So see you soon.